Joey says, asks, have you ever measured a speaker that was not favorable, but you liked the way it sounded?
Interesting. I like that one. I like that one.
Yes.
So it is possible.
Can it be explained why you liked it? Can measurements explain why you possibly liked it?
Oh, Floyd Toole could probably look at him, or Sean Olive, and figure it out. I can't. I have measured. I've tried quite a few speakers that if something measures good, speakers wise, if it measures good, it sounds good. If it measures bad, it might sound bad. It might sound good, depending on your own personal biases and tastes and who knows what. And but I remember I tested an Earthquake. I tested like I think it was a Definitive Technology or something really good speaker. This is like 15 years ago or something, and it measured perfectly. It's Canadian designers. It's measured perfectly. It sounded great, and I had this Earthquake speaker that was pretty wacky, and I took it apart. And it was made like really cheap and everything, and it measured pretty bad, but I really liked it. I mean. There have been a few of those where I'm like, I see its flaws, but I still like it. So it can happen.
Any particular speakers that you remember, like, oh, this didn't measure very well, but for some reason, I like it.
Well, that Earthquake and some B&Ws. There's a lot more variation in B&W, I think, than at least in my experience. There's a lot more variation in B&W than there is in a lot of other brands. I think
any particular ones?
Less of a consistent signature. I haven't reviewed one of their speakers for a long time, so probably anything would have been anything I liked would have been. What was it, like the DM10 or something? It was something CM10 or something 10. I'm kind of like, boy, this doesn't measure as flat as my Revels, but I like certain things about the sound better.
Are those the custom install ones?
No, I probably have the model number wrong. It was something 10.
Okay.
But it was a tower speaker. It was not like a super expensive one. It was expensive, but it wasn't like crazy. It was like maybe $5,000 or something, or $4,000. But there have been a few here and there, and there have been a few. I don't hate everything that measures bad.
How about you, Dennis?
Yeah, I was just digging through my old reviews trying to find the name of the speaker because I know somebody's going to ask me, but it was a weird, like, single driver thing, which normally not a fan of, but I just loved the sound of it for whatever reason. It was idiosyncratic. It was strange, but it kind of turned me on, man.
What size is this? The single driver.
It was like a stand mount speaker with a single, I don't know, 5-inch, maybe 4.5, 5 inch, something like that. I don't know. But and I think it had like a wizard cone. I don't remember. I don't know. It happened before yesterday, but it was kind of neat and kind of funky and kind of interesting with a lot of stuff. But I tell you what, it's with that stuff. I often find that if it's weird and idiosyncratic and I'm digging it, at some point I will run across a piece of music that will make me not dig it. And with that speaker, it was Queen's Radio Gaga. Like, Radio Gaga was just unfreaking listenable on that speaker, right? And it's because when you're deviant, when you're doing something weird and idiosyncratic, eventually you're gonna run into a point where you're effectively remixing the song, right?
Right.
Sometimes that works, and then you'll find a tune where it's just like, wow, this does not work. So,
yeah, I hear that. Yeah, so like for me, I'm a sucker for a speaker with good bass extension. Like, it doesn't have to be the flattest, but if it has a pretty decent tonal balance and good bass extension, especially for the size, I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, I'm a sucker for that. So if you look at the measurement, maybe the top end is not going to look so pretty, but because it has a deep bass extension, I'm like, I'm enjoying this. The type of music I listen to, it just works for that. So it's kind of like a bias that I have, but I try to let people know, like, hey, this is just what I like.
Yeah, but that's a bias. Like Floyd Toole told me one time, he said bass wins in terms of like a blind comparison test.
Yeah.
So it's a bias that pretty much we all have.
And he told me on the phone. He said, like too much bass is the forgivable sin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always knock it down, right?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. If you would like to join us every week on Mondays at what time is it? About 6 p.m. Central, which is the best time. That's where I am. Make sure you join us at youtube.com/Daily HiFi. We out.